Hi friends, good morning. Welcome to Shankaran IA Study Circle. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy, Director of the Institute. Today in this particular video, we will try to discuss about the relevance of upper house in India, especially at the national level in the Indian Parliament. What is the relevance of Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house in the Indian Parliament? This we will try to discuss. So, relevance of the upper house in the Indian Parliament. So, we will discuss this topic under the following headings. The first one, what is the historical evolution of the bicameralism in India? So, how the Indian Parliament became bicameral in course of time. Then, in the Constituent Assembly debates, what were the views of the framers of the Indian Constitution relating to bicameralism? Then, we will try to discuss about the utility of Rajya Sabha, then special powers of Rajya Sabha, then what needs to be done to further strengthen the role of Rajya Sabha. So, this will be the structure of our discussion. To begin with, the evolution of bicameralism in India. The evolution of bicameralism in India. So, basically, legislatures can be broadly categorized into two: unicameral, bicameral. So, if the legislature contains a single house, it is called unicameral. If it contains two houses, the upper house and the lower house, it is called bicameral. In India, at the national level, Parliament is bicameral. It contains two houses. The upper house is Rajya Sabha, also known by the name Council of States or House of Elders. The lower house is Lok Sabha, House of the People. House of the People. In addition, in India we have 28 states, out of which 6 states have got bicameral state legislatures. So, these states include Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra and Karnataka. So, bicameralism I have explained. Then, evolution of bicameralism. See, for the first time, the Parliament at the national level became bicameral even before India's independence. You know that India was ruled before 15th August 1947. Starting from 1773 till 1947, India was ruled by the Britishers. So, 1773 to 1856, India was under the rule of English East India Company. From 1856 to 1947, India was under the rule of British Crown. So, British Parliament has enacted a number of legislations which laid foundations for administering the Indian territories. So, in that respect, the Parliament at the national level became bicameral for the first time under Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Montagu-Chelmsford reforms or Government of India Act 1919. Government of India Act 1919. Right? So, the Indian Parliament at the national level became bicameral for the first time under the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms or the Government of India Act 1919. So, under this legislation, the upper house is called Council of States. Council of States. Remember, this is not a permanent house. Unlike the present Rajya Sabha, which is a permanent house, the Council of States, which is the upper house, created under the Government of India Act 1919, is not a permanent house. So, it has a tenure of 5 years. Subsequently, under the Government of India Act 1935, the bicameral legislature at the national level continued. Under the Council of States was made a permanent house. Council of States was made a permanent house. Please see the difference between 1919 Act and 1935 Act. Under the Government of India Act 1919, the upper house is called the Council of States, and the upper house is not a permanent house. The tenure of the upper house is fixed as 5 years. But under the Government of India Act 1935, the Council of States was made a permanent house, and the members had a tenure of 9 years. Members had a tenure of 9 years. 1/3 of the members retiring every 3 years. 1/3 of the members retiring every 3 years. But remember, the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935 did not come into implementation, and as a result, the bicameral legislature which is created under the Government of India Act 1919 continued till 1947. Till 1947. Then, in the present Indian Constitution, we had Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house, also known by the name Council of States or House of Elders. This is a permanent house. The house is permanent, it is not subjected to dissolution. The members had a tenure of 6 years. Each member will have a tenure of 6 years. 1/3 retiring every 2 years. 1/3 retiring every 2 years. Then, in the Constituent Assembly debates, if you see the discussions on the requirement for a second house at the national level, the members of the Constituent Assembly, they were divided on this particular issue. Some of the members of the Constituent Assembly felt that an upper house is not necessary at the national level because it is undemocratic and it will delay the lawmaking process and will undermine the democratic will of the people. This is one view which is expressed. Then, contrary to this view, other members of the Constituent Assembly, they argued that having a second chamber will serve a useful purpose by acting as a revision chamber. It is not only that, it can also share the burden of lawmaking along with the lower house. So these were two views in the Constituent Assembly. And then finally, what is the utility of Rajya Sabha? At least in India, why do we need a upper house? At least in India, why do we need an upper house? The most important reason why shall there be a bicameral parliament at the national level is the federal nature of the Indian Constitution. The federal nature of the Indian Constitution. In all the countries with a federal constitution, one very important requirement is to have a bicameral national parliament. So the definition of the federal constitution is to have two governments which derive their authority from the constitution. So at the national level, in the national parliament, to protect the interests of the regional governments or the state governments, we need an upper house. So this is to maintain federal equilibrium. So this is the most important reason why there shall be an upper house in India. Indian Constitution is federal. In India, the union government and all the state governments, they derive their authority from the Constitution. When the lawmaking is done at the national level, to ensure that the interests of the states are not undermined, we need to have an upper house to give representations to the states. That's the reason why Rajya Sabha is also called the Council of States. So I can give a very good example relating to the role of Rajya Sabha in protecting the interests of the state governments. If you remember, when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, he introduced two important constitutional amendment bills. 64th Constitutional Amendment Bill, 65th Constitutional Amendment Bill. 64th Constitutional Amendment Bill, 65th Constitutional Amendment Bill. 64th Constitutional Amendment Bill, it is related to Panchayat Raj institutions. 64th Constitutional Amendment Bill is related to urban local self-governing institutions or Nagara Palikas. Remember, under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, local government is a subject in the state list. So these constitutional amendment bills, 64th and 65th Constitutional Amendment Bills, were an attempt at empowering the local governments, bypassing the state governments. So as these constitutional amendment bills were against the interests of the state governments, these two bills could be passed in Lok Sabha, but they were rejected in Rajya Sabha. Subsequently, when P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, he had consultation with the state governments. The concerns of the state governments were taken into consideration. These bills were substantially amended, and then finally they were passed in the form of 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts. 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts. So this is the utility of Rajya Sabha in a federal constitution. When the ordinary bills are introduced in the parliament, when constitutional amendment bills are introduced in the parliament, if they are against the interests of the state governments, Rajya Sabha can say no. That's the importance, the first importance. The second one, the second importance is it acts as a revising chamber. It acts as a revising chamber. What do you mean by revising chamber? When the law making is done, especially if you see the members of the lower house, they are more young, and when the law making is done out of emotions and passions, then these emotions and passions can be tempered, can be regulated, can be controlled by the upper house by creating delay in the process of law making. In other words, hasty legislation and ill-conceived legislation can be revised by the Rajya Sabha. There were a number of bills which were introduced in the Lok Sabha, passed in the Lok Sabha, but rejected by Rajya Sabha. So in 1961, we had a dowry prohibition bill. 1978, we had Banking Service Commission repeal bill. 2002, we had Prevention of Terrorism bill. These are few examples wherein there were disagreements between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And then in the joint session for passing these bills, the amendments proposed by Rajya Sabha were accepted and accommodated, and so the bills could be passed in joint session of the parliament. So that is the beauty. So when the law making is done, if any particular bill which originates in Lok Sabha, if it is not foolproof, if there are any gaps, if there is any hastiness in drafting the bill, all these can be corrected by Rajya Sabha. That is the meaning of a revising chamber. In addition to this, with the growing complexities in administration, law making has become very difficult. So today the Indian Parliament has to do law making with respect to a vast number of subjects. So there has been a growing burden on the Indian Parliament when it comes to law making. So if there is an upper house which is present, the burden of law making can be shared between the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And Rajya Sabha can help in reducing the load on the lower house. This is the third important function. So reducing the burden. And the fourth one, now in India we had a 24 department related parliamentary standing committees. So every ordinary bill and every constitutional amendment bill can be referred to these department related parliamentary standing committees for greater scrutiny of the bills and to give recommendations for improving the bill. So out of these 24, 8 parliamentary standing committees, 8 departmentally related parliamentary standing committees, they work under Rajya Sabha. And the remaining 16 departmentally related parliamentary standing committees, they work under Lok Sabha. They work under Lok Sabha. 8 department related parliamentary standing committees work under Rajya Sabha, 16 work under Lok Sabha. So this gives an opportunity for Rajya Sabha for a further greater scrutiny of the bills and to improve the bills. So that's one more important reason. Then in addition to this, those individuals who had otherwise expertise, who cannot get elected through direct elections to the lower house, can be given representation in the upper house either through indirect election or through nomination by the President of India. So if Rajya Sabha contains professionals or people with expertise, they can play an important role in improving the quality of the debate and the quality of the lawmaking. This is another advantage of having an upper house. In addition to this, executive accountability, greater executive accountability, greater executive accountability, greater executive accountability. So accepting with respect to money bill, accepting with respect to money bill, accepting with respect to money bill and removal of the government, in all other matters, Rajya Sabha enjoys equal powers with that of Lok Sabha. For example, impeaching the President of India, then removal of CAG, removal of Chief Election Commissioner, removal of State Election Commissioner, removal of the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court, Rajya Sabha enjoys equal powers with that of Lok Sabha. And you know that the Union government can declare national emergency under Article 352, state emergency under Article 356, financial emergency under Article 360. So the emergency powers of the executive branch of the government are subject to control of Parliament. On par with Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha can also play an important role in ensuring the accountability of the executive branch to the Parliament. So that's again one added role of having Rajya Sabha. In addition to this, Rajya Sabha being a permanent house, Rajya Sabha being a permanent house is also useful in Indian parliamentary democracy. For example, when the executive branch of the government exercises emergency powers, and when Lok Sabha was in dissolution at that point of time, national emergency which is declared, state emergency which is declared, financial emergency which is declared will be given approval by Rajya Sabha till the Lok Sabha is reconstituted. So this guarantees certain permanence and continuity in the working of the Indian Constitution, the working of Indian parliamentary democracy. So this is an additional role which Rajya Sabha can play in India. So these are 7 facets, 7 dimensions of advantages of having an upper house. So in addition to this, I told with respect to a money bill and with respect to the removal of the government, these are the only 2 areas where Lok Sabha has got special powers. But otherwise, in all the remaining areas, Rajya Sabha enjoys equal powers with that of Lok Sabha. In addition to this, Rajya Sabha enjoys certain special powers which are not available to Lok Sabha. 249, 312. Under Article 249, in national parliament, in the parliament, if the parliament wants to make a law on a subject in the state list, in national interest, so for protecting the interests of the nation as a whole, if it is necessary for the parliament to make a law on a subject in the state list, then this can be done only with the prior authorization of the Rajya Sabha, because here the parliament is trying to enact on an area given to the states, so it will undermine the authority of the states. So that's why there is a condition. What is the condition? If Rajya Sabha passes a resolution, if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by 2/3 of the members present and voting that it is necessary for the parliament to make a law on a subject in the state list in national interest, then the parliament can do so. So this is one special power of Rajya Sabha. In addition to this, Article 312, creation of new All India services. So All India services are those services which are common to the centre and the states. And with respect to All India services, the union government has got ultimate control, the state governments has got immediate control. Major penalties like removal and dismissal is with union government. Minor penalties like a transfer, promotion, withholding promotion and suspension, they are with state governments. If new All India services are created, they again will affect the powers of the states because the ultimate control is with the union government. So a creation of a new All India service will have an impact on the authority of the states. Unless the states agree, a new All India service cannot be created. That is the reason why Article 312 says, if a new All India service is to be created in the national interest, Rajya Sabha shall agree. Why Rajya Sabha? Because Rajya Sabha gives representation to the states. So if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by 2/3 of the members present and voting that it is necessary to create a new All India service in national interest, then Parliament through an ordinary law can provide for the establishment of a new All India service. So these are the two special powers of Rajya Sabha. Article 249, lawmaking in the state subjects. Article 312, establishment of new All India services. So in addition to this, what are the measures to be taken to further strengthen the role of Rajya Sabha? So remember, as of now, the states are unequally represented in the Rajya Sabha. Bigger states like UP have got greater representation, smaller states have got smaller representation. States are unequally represented in the Rajya Sabha. But if you take America, United States of America, in America there are 50 states and each state sends 2 representatives to the American Senate, which is the upper house. So the American Parliament is called American Congress, and in the American Parliament the upper house is called American Senate. In the American Senate the total number of members is 100. So there are 50 states, each state sends 2 representatives. So in America, which is an example for true federation, all the states are equally represented irrespective of the geographical size and irrespective of the population. So to strengthen the role of the states in Rajya Sabha, Madan Mohan Poonchi Commission, Poonchi Commission, that is the second commission on center-state relations, has recommended that the states must be equally represented. That the states must be equally represented in the upper house. This is a recommendation made, but not yet accepted and implemented. If this is done, then the role of the states in the Rajya Sabha will further improve. In addition to this, the members of the American Senate, in the beginning they were indirectly elected, but now the members of the American Senate are directly elected. So similarly, there was one recommendation made, even in India, if you want to increase the role and relevance of Rajya Sabha, the members of Rajya Sabha shall also be directly elected. So these measures can be taken to further strengthen the role of Rajya Sabha. So we can summarize stating that Indian Rajya Sabha is not as weak as the upper house in United Kingdom. So in the United Kingdom, that is in the British Parliament, the upper house is called House of Lords, the lower house is called House of Commons. House of Lords, the weakest upper house in the world. But Indian Rajya Sabha is not weak like House of Lords. Similarly, in the American Parliament, the upper house is American Senate. American Senate is the most powerful upper house in the world. So Indian Rajya Sabha is not as powerful as American Senate, and it is not as weak as House of Lords. So the position of Indian Rajya Sabha is somewhere in between the American Senate and the House of Lords in Britain. House of Lords in Britain. So that's it relating to this topic. Thank you.